Hello, friends. My name is Tiffany Babb, and this is the Interesting Jobs podcast, where I talk to people with interesting jobs about their day-to-day, popular misconceptions about their field, and what they wish more people understood about their jobs. Today, our very special guest is Benjamin L. Clark. So, Benjamin, what do you do?
I am the curator of the Charles Schulz Museum in Santa Rosa, California. So I'm a comics historian and museum curator.
That sounds funny. First things first, what does a curator do?
Well, I'm in charge of exhibitions. So I do a lot of research, I do a lot of writing, and conceptualizing what exhibitions will look like in our museum.
How did you become an expert in Charles Schulz specifically?
Luckily, Mr. Schulz was very generous with his time. So there's a lot to read and watch and listen to. He gave lots of interviews, and we're able to sit down and listen to him himself and get to know him that way. And also, he wasn't some remotely distant historical figure. He was alive in my own lifetime. So I've been able to meet a lot of people who knew him and have gotten to know them and get to hear firsthand from the people who knew and loved him most. So it's how I've gotten to know him.
That's awesome. I've just realized that everybody might not know who Charles Schulz
Oh,
was.
yeah, right. Well, Charles Schulz created Peanuts, the cartoon strip and newspapers. He lived from 1922 till 2000. So he created Snoopy, Charlie Brown, and the gang. If you love them, that's who Charles Schulz was. And he lived here in Santa Rosa. He was born and raised mostly in the Twin Cities in Minnesota, and then he moved to here in 1958 with his family and lived here the rest of his life.
How did the museum get started?
Well, towards the end of his life, the last couple years or so, his wife, Jeannie Schulz, who's still alive, who's still around and still chairs the museum, she and a couple of other friends of Mr. Schulz's were talking about, hey, he went by a nickname, Sparky. So if I say Sparky, I'm talking about Charles Schulz. They're talking with Sparky about the idea of a museum, because people would come to this location where his studio is, and he had built in 1969 a huge ice arena. Like I said, he was raised in the Twin Cities, and by the late 1960s, living here in California, not a lot of ice skating naturally available, so you have to build ice arenas. And he and his family really missed ice skating, and so he built this giant ice arena. And it kind of became a place that visitors who wanted a physical place to visit about Peanuts and Snoopy and the gang, they would come here. And so in time, he built a little gift shop and a couple other things. And so people were already kind of coming to this location. And as he was getting older, like I said, his wife Jean Schulz and some other friends, I'm talking about, hey, what if we did a museum? What would that be like? And would that be okay with you? And he was like, no, I'm not okay with that. I don't like that idea. Which I think a lot of people, you get a little older, it's like, man, that seems very final, doesn't it? I don't really like that. But he did come around to the idea. He came around to the idea and said, actually, that might be really cool to have a place where you celebrate creativity and drawing and funny pictures and, yes, the Peanuts characters. And so anyway, the museum was built in 2001-2, opened in August of 2002. So we've been here now for over 20 years, coming up on 25 years. And I've been here for 8 of them. So it's been really, really great.
Is the ice arena still there?
Oh, yeah. Yeah, the ice arena is still there. I just got a major renovation maybe 2 years ago now. They shut down for most of a year to redo all the piping and stuff under the ice. And 'cause it was still like a lot of the original stuff from 1969. So it needed some modernization and updates and fixing and things. So yeah, they did a giant renovation for it. And they actually brought it back in some way. Some of the design things, like they painted the interior the old color and things like that. So it's great. Yeah, they still host a senior hockey tournament every summer, where it's coming up, where all these old players will come in and play. You have to be, I think, at least 40 to play. They have teams where there's guys like in their 70s out there playing hockey. It's wonderful. It's a big
I'm
highlight.
sure that's a sight to see.
Yeah.
So, what else can people expect when they visit the museum?
Well, we have rotating exhibitions here. We have three galleries that rotate, and they're on 6 month schedules that are staggered. So you could theoretically come to the museum every 2 months and see something new. So yeah, always check our website, see what's going on exhibition wise, and yeah, that's what you can expect to see when you come here is fresh exhibitions about Charles Schulz. You'll see lots of original Peanuts art. That's kind of our main focus here. He produced 17,897 Peanuts comic strips.
Wow.
Yeah, it's almost 18,000 comics, and we have almost 8,000 of the 18,000. So we have lots to work with, and also, his personal effects, his tools of his trade. We have a lot of great things to kind of tell the story of Mr. Schultz and Peanuts and vintage products too, licensing stuff. It's a lot of fun. You'll definitely see something really great. What's great about the three galleries is they're different kind of sizes and layouts, so they allow me to, as the curator, to really kind of think about my topics in different ways. Because working in the real estate of a gallery space, it's not just the same thing every time. So I have one big gallery where I can just kind of go nuts, but it's not tall enough. That drives me crazy. I wish it had way higher ceilings, but it doesn't.
Wait, sorry. Before you go on, what would the height of the ceilings do to like expand your possibilities?
Talking about big stuff. I mean, it's only, you know, they're okay. They're 10, 11 foot maybe, but I can't get like a Macy's balloon in there.
Right.
I can't do
Okay.
anything like huge, and I would dearly love to do something really big because big things are just really fun to me. So we kind of have to fake it sometimes, but build like a portion of something. And
Or a miniature of large items.
yeah,
Just the
yeah,
largest Snoopy related things, but tiny.
right.
Like Macy's balloon, but small.
Small, yeah. So like I can display the maquettes and the drawings, but it's like I wish I could get a balloon in here. I mean, that'd be really
Mm.
great. But that's how it goes. So yeah, I have one big gallery. That's my big gallery. And I have a small gallery upstairs, which is great for like really tightly focused things. So, like in the big gallery this fall, we'll be opening a big exhibition all about Linus. It's a big character with lots of originals, lots of great stuff. It's going to be a lot of fun. And then upstairs, I'm doing a small exhibition about Snoopy. One of his personas in the very late 90s was the Revolutionary War patriot. So that's kind of our connection to the big anniversary this summer. And Schultz's take on it is interesting too, as his kind of experience with being a soldier himself, being a vet, and his service in World War II actually kind of comes through in those strips and in interesting ways. And it's also really late Peanuts. It's late 90s, and the art is interesting. He's working around some of the tougher parts of aging as an artist, and he's doing different things. It's really interesting because he was experimenting right up to the end too. So there's cool stuff in that. And then my other gallery is dedicated to just original strips in a very like clean. It doesn't change format. It's always like 50 original strips. It's a lot, and it's very arty, museumy. So like clean box kind of situation. So you really get to see the originals up close and personal in that space, and that's a really fun space too. I have an exhibition in there about the 1990s. It's all 90s originals in there right now. I did a whole decade. I did a whole series of each decade and kind of what evolution was happening within the strip in each decade, and so that's wrapping up. And then the next one's just focused on Snoopy, and sometimes Charlie Brown, kind of in a final panel thing, he would say, "Why can't I have a normal dog?" And that phrase kept jumping out at me, and I was like, "Well, there might be an exhibition in that." And sure enough, yeah, there is. So, why can't I have a normal dog? Will open, I think, this summer. Is that right? It might be this summer. I forget the
Is
date.
that how you come up with most of your exhibition ideas? Is you're just looking at the the material you have and then just seeing kind of what patterns arise? Or there, you also mentioned kind of the revolutionary stuff that I assume you're looking at the calendar, what fits into the moment. How do you come up with your exhibition ideas?
Yeah, that's it. That's a big part of it. We look at things like that. Like we'll be, the Summer Olympics are coming to LA, which is, I mean, it's not close, but people are Olympic visitors are coming to Los Angeles. They might pop up to San Francisco, and if they're in San Francisco, they can definitely come up here. So, I think I'll have something about the Olympics in Peanuts. Around that time. So, we do things like that. Yeah, we do check the calendar and look way, way ahead. In fact, we were about to start planning out by, I think, 2032. So I'm solidly planned into 2029, 2030 already. So it's time to kick it down the road a little further, and so we'll be doing that very soon. So yeah, we look at that. We also look at topics we've already covered and maybe what we've missed. I am way overdue to do a giant baseball exhibition. I mean, we haven't done one here in forever, and that's such a huge part of Peanuts. So we'll definitely be doing some big baseball thing at some point.
Well, I'll
So
definitely pop up for that one
yeah, yeah.
because I'd love to see that. What does a regular day at your job look like?
Um, like I said, I do a lot of research and writing, so it's a lot of that. I'm also part of the Peanuts reference desk team, so if someone has a question about is Woodstock left-handed or something, we gotta,
Is Woodstock left-handed?
no, he's not. No, he's right. So, we try to figure that stuff out if we can and things like that. So you never know. It's different every day, which is why I love museum work. So why a lot of people who work in museums love them because it's you get to learn and also it's just varied. You'll be working on all kinds of different things. And here, because we have such an aggressive exhibition schedule, it's just nonstop. I mean, it's really busy. Like I'm writing and editing and reviewing edits and kicking stuff back out to people for review and coming back with things and rewriting and doing all kinds of stuff just constantly. So it's that. And also, I do a little bit of media. So I'll do interviews like this, talk to other folks. You never know what that's going to be either. It could be, a local news station. It might be a documentary. It could be just about anything. And that's interesting too. So
I'm curious, when you say research, do you mean you're flipping through original art? Are you reading books, going through papers? What does that look like?
all of it. Yeah. Anything. Yeah. Diving into our archives here, looking at archives in other places, seeing what they have. If they can answer a question or something. It's, yeah, it could be a lot of things. For instance, researching for that exhibition about Snoopy as the Revolutionary War patriot. So the first instance of it, the original drawing, looking at that, it's funny. It's a Sunday. You get a nice big final panel. Snoopy is standing in the snow, and the snow is falling, and he's got some object on his head, and there's a musket, but it's on the other side of his body, so you don't really see it. And he's like, "Oh, here's the Revolutionary War patriot standing guard at Valley Forge," and it's like, then like 2 weeks later, maybe there's another one, and this one he has on a beautiful tricorn hat. There's like powder horns, and the musket is detailed, and it's on the other side of his body, and you can see it all, and you can see all this stuff. It's like, what happened in these 2 weeks? Because Schulz was not confident on how to draw a tricorn hat
Mhm.
on Snoopy, which had to be a challenge. And then suddenly everything's like working. I'm like, huh, he must have been looking at something. And so I go to his original, we have all his books, we have all his stuff, and I do know this about him, is that he was really a stickler for details. And even though it's just a silly cartoon, he still wanted it to be realistic. He still wanted it to be factually correct. And also one of his really close friends was his attorney, also Ed Anderson, and Anderson was a huge Revolutionary War buff. This was like his subject. He loved it, and they talked about it a lot when they were just hanging out having coffee or whatever. And so he would tell Sparky about like some crazy story from the Revolution that he had read about, the night before or whatever. And He just really enjoyed that. And so anyway, I go to Schulz's books and I'm like, okay, like what does he have here? And looking through things, it's like, oh, look at this. It's it's a book that has all these beautiful, um, historical paintings and photographs of historical objects and from the Revolution. And oh, the book right next to it has all these log cabin buildings, and he is suddenly incorporating those into the details too, like these interior shots and corners and stonework, chimneys and things in the strip. And it's like, oh, he's using, these are the two books he was looking at, and he figured it out. And so sometimes that's the research. And on one of them, there's the final panel. He collaged into the final panel that famous painting of Washington crossing the Delaware. And we pulled out the original art for that and realized there was actually drawing underneath of it. And it was just still glued down from when Schulz glued it onto the paper. So we talked to our conservator, and they were able to lift the collaged piece off. And we actually have, for the very first time, have now seen that Schulz actually did draw Washington crossing the Delaware in his own style, underneath of that. And for whatever, we don't know why, but he decided, I don't like that. I think it would be better this other way. Don't know exactly how, but Paige Braddock, who was his studio assistant at the time, she was like, "Oh yeah, that I did that. I was the only one in the office who had a scanner, and so I scanned." And this is 1999, so she scanned. We found the book they scanned it out of. She scanned the painting and cut it out, and actually she did just a real light edit on it, and then cut it out, and he pasted it into the panel and drew around it. And it's like, wow, that's really interesting. But we don't know why, but we do know that's what happened. And so that's the kind of research we're doing. I mean, we can really dig into original art and just methodology, and also just connecting dots about his life. Like today, I had a question from somebody from some small town in Pennsylvania. It was like, "Oh, I was always told he came here and taught art classes for kids." And I'm like, I don't know, he never did that. And we went to Philadelphia a couple times, but that's kind of it. Yeah, didn't get up to small town Pennsylvania, I don't think. So, but yeah, that's what we do.
That's fascinating. I haven't been to the museum yet, but I have seen some Schulz Museum exhibition collaboration
Yeah,
situations at San Diego Comic-Con and over at the Billy Ireland
yeah.
Museum as well. So can you tell me about how these collaborations happen? What do they look like? What's your role in them?
There's a couple of knobs you can turn on those, on how much we're involved and how that happens, and what my role is too. So sometimes I'm deeply involved, we're heavily involved. Sometimes I'm not as involved. Sometimes these are our traveling exhibitions. We have a whole stable of exhibitions that go all over the country, actually out of the country too sometimes. Those are available for other institutions to borrow. We have kind of different degrees of those. So sometimes you have to be a museum with climate control and security and insurance and blah blah blah. And sometimes you can just we have versions that are low security, much easier to do at like a library or some other space that a big convention or something. Yeah, you can do that. We have versions like that. We also have things where we'll be invited to come participate. In the past, not very long ago, we did a fashion thing in Paris. We did a Paris Fashion Week pop up, and we participated with Peanuts, the brand people. We're connected, but not, we're not connected officially at all. We're independent of each other, but we do work together on some things. So they were doing a kind of more of a licensing side with fashion, but they wanted a pretty heavy historical component to it. And there's actually quite a history there. And so we were very, very involved in that. And my involvement in those, it depends on the project and how extensive it is. Sometimes it's light. I might write a little bit. I definitely review everything. For the fashion project, we actually hired another curator to work on that, kind of take the main lead of that. Her name is Lynn Downey. She's a fabulous fashion historian. She was actually the head archivist and curator for Levi's for many years. And she's local to us here and has worked with Peanuts before, actually. And so we brought her on board and it's always a treat to have her here. So yeah, sometimes it's like that, and then other times it's just me just doing what I do here just for somewhere else. We actually have our satellite museum in Tokyo, so I'm always doing 2 exhibitions a year there too. So it's just like doing it here, just with another layer of complication with translations and and working with our friends over there. So
I was in Tokyo in the winter. I didn't get to go to the museum, but I'll tell you, Snoopy is everywhere.
yeah,
I'm sure you've been, but I was just like, wow, it's Snoopy Land and it's Moomin Land. I know you're also a
yes,
Moomin fan.
I am a Moomin.
There's actually a Moomin Land there, which was really incredible park that I got to visit. For listeners, if you think Snoopy is big in the US, it is huge in Japan.
Yeah, yeah, like yeah. There's Snoopy cafes and Peanuts specific stores. Yeah, it's wonderful. So yeah, it's pretty fun.
What's the single coolest thing you've ever gotten to do for your job?
Oh man, that's that's a really hard thing to nail down. Gosh, that is really hard to nail down. It's incredible just to meet a lot of these cartoonists that people I grew up reading. Hanging out with Jim Davis and just spending a little time with them and just chatting about cartooning and Lynn Johnston and like I mean I don't know. It's just Kathy Geisweit. I met her and it was like the first time I've ever been like starstruck. I mean, I was just like, okay, Kathy Geisweit's coming to this thing, and I'm gonna meet her, and we're gonna hang out a bit, and we're gonna do some stuff. And then I met her, and I was like, whoa, it's like the first time that's ever happened. And in previous jobs, other places, I've met some pretty famous people before, but I don't know why. It just really hit me. That's probably the coolest part is meeting all the cartoonists and getting in. Some of them I've actually gotten to know, and which is really I don't know. It's pretty great. They're fun people.
It is cool.
Yeah.
Um, I know you recently had the kid who designed Rise
Yeah.
over up at the museum, which is cool. Have you been able to meet a lot of astronauts in the past?
Um, Not here. I did at a previous job. I was a curator at the Oklahoma Historical Society, and Oklahoma has quite a history with astronauts. So I've
Cool.
met a lot of like Apollo people and um, a lot of those old school guys. Well, most of them aren't around anymore.
Yeah,
So,
that's really interesting.
yeah, so I met a lot of astronauts that way, but not so much here. Haven't had the opportunity. We've done a lot of NASA stuff, but
That's what I was going to say. It really
yeah,
surprises me because NASA has such a long relationship with Snoopy
yeah,
specifically for like the Silver Snoopy and
yeah,
all of that stuff.
yeah. I mean, I have met like other NASA people, just not astronauts. Like
Mm,
the lady who's in charge of filming the rockets like blast off. She's
that's
the one
cool.
running all the cameras like up and down the tower and like
Wow.
watching everything happen and make sure nothing bad happens. And then they go back and study that extensively, just like frame by frame practically. So I've met some NASA people, but not yeah,
That's cool.
yeah.
What do you wish more people understood about your job?
Oh, um, don't really know. It's a fun job. I mean, that's for sure. But it is still a job. It's still work, of course. And I think maybe the only thing that really bugs me is when I see the word curate used very loosely. I've learned to laugh at it. It's like yes, these apples are curated. It's like no, they're not. You just picked out some apples. Don't tell me you curate these apples. You have not raised them. You don't take care of them. You don't have a 500-year plan for their care. It's like these are just some stuff you picked out. It's okay. Just say they're expertly selected. Like that's fine. That's not curation. That's not what it is. So yeah, curation's not just picking stuff out. There's more to it. So I guess maybe that's it. Uh,
Interesting.
we're also, curators also in charge of often, not always, but often, we're in charge of like growing our collections. So like for me, I'm looking at when things come available or sometimes things are offered to us, looking at how it might fit in our collection if it does or it doesn't, and then weighing factors of care. And because if we take something on, we're kind of saying we're going to take care of this for all time, and we need to understand what that means. And from like a resource point of view and things too, and how it aligns with our mission as an organization and all kinds of stuff. So yeah, there's more to it than that.
What's the hardest part of your job?
Oh, scheduling. It's scheduling. We just have a lot of balls in the air at all times, spinning a lot of plates, whatever metaphor you want to use. We're just doing it all. And it's a lot. So staying on top of project management, scheduling kind of stuff is tough. It is for me. That's not like a natural skill of mine. So I need help and I get help, which is good. So that's the hardest part really. Just making sure we're hitting deadlines and getting everything everybody needs when they need it and all of that because it's a lot and scheduling also like I said earlier we're planning these exhibitions out years in advance and we have to that's why and because some of these things take that long yeah there's an exhibition I really want to do so like we're like I said we're talking about stuff out to 2032 so I'm already like thinking about some things I want to pitch to the group of people who will meet and talk over ideas and because it's not something I can just unilaterally just say this is what we're doing. I mean, it's like, well, it doesn't really work. Um, so we meet with a group of people and talk through ideas and look at a big scheduling board and kind of say, okay, how does this work? And oh, if we do this at the same time as that, then that kind of bumps into something else. Or boy, that's boring. And oh boy, it's kind of a lot of that. In I don't know. But yeah, it takes that long because sometimes if you want to like borrow something, like there's an exhibition I want to do, and I just found that there might be a really key object at the Smithsonian, and that they kind of were only barely aware that they even had. And so I was like, oh, this would be cool. And it's like, so I'm talking to them, and it's like, oh, you need, be sure you ask if you want it. Like, we have to start the paperwork like 2 years in advance. Like, yeah, no
Wow.
problem. It's like, that's fine. Because it just takes that long. And so often, and that's a pain. But which is why we don't do a ton of loans. So we have a lot of. That's why we have such a great collection here. So we just, yeah, loans they're hard. So
What's the most interesting object you have in your collection?
mm, I mean, having the world's largest collection of original Peanuts art is pretty great.
Mhm.
uh, yeah, that gets me pretty excited. Seeing like we have the oldest known original. Uh, it's from like November 1950, so it's like within the first
Wow.
5 weeks. Um, that kind of stuff. Yeah, it's pretty great. And then yeah, there's I don't know there's some surprising things in our collection too.
You mentioned balloons earlier. Do you have the Thanksgiving balloons?
No, we don't. Macy's has them at their archive, so um, yeah, we don't have them. We'd have to borrow them. I wish we did. I wouldn't mind like an arm or something, or I don't know, something like to scale that we could manage. I don't know, yeah, or even one that's 'cause they describe because I know several people here who have gone and done the balloon handling, and Mrs. Schultz has done it, and they say the balloons when they're deflated, they'll fit in a decent sized crate. Like they're not in museum world. They're not unwieldy. Like it's like we could manage a 300-pound crate of fabric. Even like that would be kind of cool to see. I think in an exhibition, like this is the whole balloon. It's just deflated.
That would be cool.
Yeah, it might be. I don't know. Yeah, that's the kind of stuff I have to think about.
Yes. It is. I am now curious because this is something I don't know a ton about, but in my mind, Peanuts and Macy's Thanksgiving Parade that's like the historic relationship, right? When
Oh
did
yeah.
those start?
Oh gosh, some of them start. Yeah, they go way back. It depends. Like with Hallmark, it goes back to 1960. With NASA, it goes to the late 60s. Macy's also late 60s. I think 68. Yeah, 68 was the first year of a Snoopy balloon. The year before there was a float. There was like a Peanuts themed float. I think that was the first year Peanuts was in the Macy's Thanksgiving Day Parade, 67. So yeah, some of those go way back. Yeah. I mean, I think Kodak, Kodak Film, they did a Peanuts thing like in the 50s. So it's some of this stuff goes way, way back and still going in some instances. Not all, but some of them.
Is there a kind of interesting licensing collab of the past that you feel like isn't talked about with Peanuts?
Hmm. I think that Kodak one is interesting because Schulz, it was so early that Schulz would draw a lot of the art for those.
Wow.
They did like a little booklet with a camera, and inside there's like these little comic-y things and almost like strips of the gang doing, taking pictures and cracking gags and stuff. So some of those are really interesting. Some really early ones are interesting because Schulz drew a lot of the art, and then it was only kind of later on when other people would be doing the licensing art, and he wouldn't be doing them as much. Um, yeah. So yeah, the early stuff I think is interesting.
What's your background? How
Hmm.
did you get into curating?
Oh well, I fell in love with history, and I was young, and like as a early teen, I was like, man, history's fun. I kind of like it, and I'm actually kind of good at it. And then, oh, I'm gonna have a job someday, and kind of went, how do you do history as a job, but not as like a classroom teacher? Because by then I'd already been like a summer camp counselor, and I was like, yeah, I'm not doing that. So it's like, well, how do you, like, who does history? Like, how does that work? And so that kind of became the door that cracked open for me, and kind of went, okay, hmm, who does that? And I found, oh, museums. Oh, right, yeah, that's a thing. I bet people work there. It's like, who does that? Who does that job? So yeah, that's kind of it. So yeah, my background's in. I went and got a degree in history, and got a master's in museum studies, and been working ever since. So it's been 20 odd years, 25 years almost. So been working in museums. So yeah, it's been a while, but it's been a lot
That's
of fun.
awesome.
Yeah.
This is my last big question, which is, what is your favorite part of your job?
Mm, that I get to learn. I love the research. I love the writing. I love figuring things out. I love connecting dots. That's just, it's a lot of fun for me. That's my idea of a good time. So that's what I do, and that's that's it. So yeah, it's different. And working specifically here, that's another thing. Is museums can be places of really hard stories, really tough stuff, and to work with objects that have witnessed horrific things and to really spend time with those, that really does take a toll. And but working here, it's a very happy place, and the objects here are fun, and the connection with people is so personal, and because people are connected to peanuts in personal ways. It's the thing you read every morning as a kid growing up. It's the your grandma would clip, from the paper and write your name on Charlie Brown's shirt and say, haha, this is you. And, just connection. And, you have the family traditions of sitting down and watching the animated adaptations and stuff, and in the holidays. And, your favorite shirt has Snoopy on it. And, you went to bed with a plush until it just fell to pieces. And, those stories are so common. I mean, we hear it every day here, and those are happy thoughts, and that's a really great thing to be able to share with people and to deepen their knowledge of it and to help them connect in other ways, and that feels really special to me.
That's lovely. Thank you so much for your time, Benjamin. Where can people find you, the museum, online, and learn more about the work you do?
Yeah, you can find us online, schulzmuseum.org, and be sure to check that out. Do so when you plan a visit. It's also a great place to look. We have some great stuff on there for people who can't come too. So there's some online exhibitions there. I think my Hidden Treasures exhibition is still up there. So check that out. That was like unseen stuff from the collection, and I had Mrs. Schulz sit down with me and a couple other people, and we like talk about the stuff as we go through. So it's fun. So yeah, that's where you can find us, and please do so.
And you also have a book?
Yes, we've got it. Yes, I do.
So you should check out Benjamin's book.
Charles M. Schulz, His Art and Life in 100 Objects, kind of a object-based biography, kind of a museum in a book. It's really good, and even won an Eisner Award a couple years ago. So please check that out, and We also have out, I think this last fall, that's why I was a little confused for a second, is The Essential Peanuts, which was a book I worked on with Mark Evanier and a whole host of other really great people are in there. There's essays in there from a lot of other people, including myself. I write an essay about the old Peanuts paperbacks and how publishing kind of fit in the story of Peanuts. But there's tons of great stuff in there from Mark and a lot of other people too. So
Is that the one in the silver box?
The big silver slipcase book. It's been nominated for an Eisner this year too. So yeah, people can check that out too.
It's beautifully designed. It has a great little cutout inside if anyone has a chance to pick a copy of that up.
Yeah, that's it. It was all designed by Chip Kidd. If you can name one book designer, it's probably Chip Kidd.
Can't beat Chip Kidd.
No, so he was in on that, and I got to meet him. It was really cool. I had him sign a copy of Jurassic Park for me since he designed that famous logo too.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
And that is it this week on the Interesting Jobs podcast, where we chat with people with interesting jobs. If you liked this episode, please leave us a 5-star review on Apple Podcasts. And if you have an interesting job or know someone with one, email us and let us know. We might even be able to have you on the show.